This episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by Onyx Hunt, the #1 GPS hunting map app. Onyx, know where you stand. Today we're talking about ways to make the most of your off-season. My guest today, Ben Brettingen, knows a thing or two about finding America's best public hunting grounds, and he's willing to share a few of his secrets. We are also going to try our best to help you get access to hunt more private grounds and form lasting relationships with farmers and ranchers. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host. Brandon Morton is our producer. I'm back, and it feels good. A big shout out to Scott Franzen. He stepped in admirably last week while I was out of town hosting a group of ice anglers on Lake of the Woods. If you missed last week's episode, Scott and two of his high school buddies discussed their experience buying hunting land together with friends. It's something that I've considered for a while with a couple of my buddies, so I was very interested in listening to their conversation, and I hope that you were too. While I was away, I did manage to land one of the largest northern pike of my life up on Lake of the Woods, which Scott mentioned in the show. Actually, it was the largest. The fish was 44 inches in length, and let's just say that she didn't miss a single meal. My guest today knows plenty about big fish and hunting wild birds. Ben Brettingen, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be on again. That was a giant pike. That was awesome.
So there's a video that exists of this fish, and I haven't posted it on my page yet. But it took about once he started recording, it was a 5-minute video, and he started once I got her up to the ice, and we're in 30 feet of water.
Wow.
I'm fishing 6-pound test line on a little little 1/4-ounce walleye jig,
Yeah.
and at first I thought eel pout, then it took a lot of dragging, and I was like, that's got to be a sturgeon. And then we saw the monster, and it was all it took several tries to get her, because she's basically the same diameter as the hole that we're fishing, and try to get her head to come up. But you fish Lake of the Woods a lot. As far as lakes in the United States go, do you think that there's a better big fish factory?
Oh, it's pretty good. I mean, just across the board, crappies, walleyes, sturgeon. It's pretty incredible. I mean, you look to like Fort Peck and stuff. Like Fort Peck's a pretty good one as well. But Lake of the Woods is at the top of the list for sure.
Right. And since we can't go into Canada yet, Lake of the Woods is just this ice fishing destination. I mean, it's popular in the summer too, but it's a big lake, and the waves, can deter people from going out. But in the winter, there's just city of life out on the main lake, and they've got these old school bombardiers. Anyway, this is the 4th year now that I've hosted a group of about 50 ice anglers up there, and it's a fun getaway, but a lot of first-time anglers, and they get to go in these old, bombers.
Yeah.
They look like a mole, like a mouse, the shape of it from a distance. They've got these tracks, and then there's skids on front. But it's an incredible experience. But anyway, I was thinking about this afterwards, so I posted this photo, Ben, on my Facebook page of this pike, and I said that's the biggest northern of my life, and in a little over a day, it had like 150 shares, and Facebook said it reached, this is just Facebook because it works different on Instagram, but on Facebook it said it reached like 70,000 people in a day.
Wow.
And I was thinking, I'm like, why do we share a photo of a fish? I mean, you see that pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Somebody catches a big fish, and it's like, people share it, it goes viral. Do you see that ever in birds? Like, I don't know that I've ever seen, somebody's got a big pheasant. It doesn't go viral,
Yeah,
right?
it's like, the tail was 27 inches on this one.
Right.
No.
What is inside of us humans that triggers that? I got to share, I got to show everybody I know what this creature is, or this fish.
I don't know. It's a weird world of social media. I guess it's the same thing as like the bragging board on, at the bait shop back in the day, right?
Right.
had to take your picture, post it on the board type deal.
Yeah. Do people do that for deer? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose more than anything, it's fish that I see.
Mm-hmm.
Then, deer or
Yes.
some like a monumental hunt, like a elk hunt or a sheep hunt
Yeah.
up in the mountains. But lots of love. Like I'm all about giving love to people when they do sweet things or share sweet things. I thumb up or heart. But I don't have that inside of me to say like, somebody did something cool. I'm going to share that with everybody I know. Am I missing that?
No, I just, I'm not, social media is not, I'd rather be out doing. I mean, it's fun to be able to keep in touch with everyone and whatnot, but yeah, I don't have that bone in my body either.
So you have an incredible eye with the camera. One, you're a deadly hunter, very lethal out there in the field. I've hunted with you enough to know. And then two, you've got incredible photography skills. When do you put the gun down and pick up the camera to capture something? And you post on social media fairly regularly, but not, like there are these, there are some people that's all they do.
Yes.
That's it. That's like their full-time job is to find the next cool thing and hopefully get a bunch of likes on it. How do you balance your hunting versus, the social media world?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like, I'm definitely a hunter. Like, when I get out there, a lot of the times I'll get in a zone, like, where I just want to hunt, and I'll forget about everything else. And especially, after moving back from Mississippi, it was like, I want to hunt. I don't care about photos. Like, I'm just in the zone. But on the flip side of that is when you get back from a trip, you're like, dang it. Like, I meant to have my camera sitting there, but I forgot to take pictures. And it's fun to, then your hunt lasts instead of like 3 days or a week. You can spread that out and I'll sit and edit photos, and it's just fun to relive the hunt that way. So I always have to make a conscious effort to pick up the camera. Otherwise, it does no good in the case. So I like sit it on the dash of my truck. So it's like, oh, okay, I'll bring it out this time, because I just, like I say, I get in that zone and I just want to hunt and watch the dogs. And there's so much already going on.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure to do it.
Do you feel like, so people that you hunt with a lot of different people, but they know your skills, right? They've seen your posts, and if they don't tell you, trust me, they know it. And so when they see that camera come out, they know something really cool is about to be snapped and captured forever. Do you feel that there's any pressure on you then to perform with, capturing those moments out there?
Yeah, I mean, actually, no, not really. Like with buddies and whatnot, unless you're a paying client, and where there's money exchange or something like that,
then there's no pressure.
Yeah, then it's like, well, yeah, I'll do my best and take whatever I see, and yeah, of course I'll share it with you. But yeah, it's just more to kind of document that hunt, and thankfully, a lot of the friends I hunt with, they're just happy to get photos, because they're kind of in the same boat, like. You look at a cell phone photo and, well, I take that back. Your cell phone photos are ridiculous now. Like, that is crazy.
We have so I have one of the later, most recent updates on the iPhone, and it allows you to do so much with the photo. You can edit it. You can, the aperture on it. I mean, it is incredible. I find myself not bringing my DSLR out into the field nearly as much, which it doesn't give you near the ability that a high-end camera will do. But for just grabbing it out of your pocket and snapping a photo really quick, it's incredible, the technology. My biggest challenge is not taking it out to the point where it distracts me or others from the hunt, and especially with my kids too, with trying to be present in the moment in the hunt with them. And also wanting to get, a memory to just keep forever, and not overdoing it. Because, during non-hunting season, for over 20 years, I've been a fishing guide, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen over the course of how social media has changed all these people that come out fishing, not all of them, but I would say the younger generation, they're more interested in holding a fish or that success so that they can share it quickly and get it out there. It's all about, putting it on as fast as they can. It's like, dude, you just caught a fish of a lifetime. Don't you want to just kind of enjoy that
to
or
revel in it.
Yes,
right?
I know, and it makes me sad to see that, and I make conscious efforts to not ever let myself get to that point because I don't want my kids to think that hunting is all about, sharing it on social media or fishing or anything that we do for that matter.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I think hopefully that our next generation, they come to despise it and they don't do it.
Yes, because I mean, so much of it now, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like the best part of hunting for me is I'll go like sometimes like 3 or 4 days. I'll check my phone like maybe twice a day, and I just forget about everything. And on the flip side of that, when you get back, it's like, oh, I should have checked my phone more often because there's stuff. And then you've done it a lot. You're just like, hey, I'm in the field. I'll hit you back later because it's a whirlwind. So
yeah, if I didn't have a wife and 3 kids at home, I wouldn't check it at all when I'm on the hunt. But I do keep tabs on it just in case they need something.
yeah, for sure.
But so right now we are sitting in my office out on the lake, which is funny because the last time we did this show together, we were sitting in this exact same fish house, my Ice Castle fish house, in the middle of a field in Montana.
Yes.
The wind was blowing about a sustained 40. We've talked about it. I've brought this up a few times over the course of the last couple months, but the Dust Bowl that we hunted through out there was incredible. But anyway, you shared your story. If people want to listen back, that was in October. I don't remember what we called that episode, but it was early to mid-October. Pheasant opener in Montana. We are back out in the fish house right now out on a lake, and this has become my office that I've fallen in love with because if we look over our shoulder right now, I have my underwater camera. It's programmed into the TV. I've got 2 lines in the water with some shiner minnows on it, and I can watch and see right now. It looks like there's a perch. Which is more food for the fish that I want to catch. But I've been able to work remotely, just like we hunted remotely in this thing. Now I'm ice fishing in it. And now we're recording a conversation in it. But we left Montana and went different directions. I drove this house. Pulled it back to Minnesota. You stayed out there. And I don't know, it felt like you came home sometime around the first week of... We left Montana in October, and I think you came home sometime around February, is what it felt like.
Yes, it definitely felt like that.
Are things good with your wife? she's okay.
I'm
good
still
to see
married.
You. Good for you.
We'll see how long, but still all go well as of now. It was a whirlwind, and it was so much fun because I think I hunted more this year than I have ever hunted in the past before. So I'm just ridiculously thankful for that. It was such a fun year.
Well, you picked a good year to do it too, because I mean, my goodness, I didn't hear very many bad reports anywhere. And you hunt. Where did you all hunt this season?
All right. So I was trying to think of this in my head before. So did Montana twice. Went back, did some grouse stuff on the North Shore. A few pheasant trips around home. Then I went back out to South Dakota for I think like 2 weeks. And then from there I went to Kansas, came back home, hunted around Minnesota some more. Then what else? Then I went back out to South Dakota again for another 5 days. So
Did you go to Louisiana to hunt upland birds?
yeah, I did. So I went down to Arkansas. I was gonna go hunt woodcock and whatnot, but it just ended up not working out. So we just hunted specks and ducks down there.
Gotcha.
And then I went to Missouri also and hunted ducks in Missouri. So
You poor thing.
yeah, I know it's awful.
So, based on your travels this year, did anything stand out to you that you were kind of surprised by? Bird numbers, hunters, anything on the landscape?
I was out of anything, I was more surprised the lack of hunters than.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Like you would think we talked about it. The big buildup was it's going to be crazy everywhere. But out of all the public land, I mean, for the most part, I hunted public land. There were a few days where I hunted private, but for the most part, I'm trying to think. Other than Montana was by far the worst in terms of people.
And maybe there was something to that, I think, in that we were out there on the opener.
Yes.
You know, we were out there. Did you see it? Because you had 2 trips to Montana. You hunted a couple weeks prior to the pheasant opener, and then we hunted together on Montana's pheasant opener. Did you see the hunter numbers high in earlier?
No, I mean, I think
No?
I saw.
Okay.
I hunted for a week, I think, and saw in the field. You know, there's some people at the hotel, but I think I saw one other group, like where I drove up to a spot and there was somebody there. I was like, dang it. But other than that, one person, and then I'm, you know, like you said, pheasant opener. It was a zoo. It was a merry-go-round of vehicles.
Right, which was interesting because in this fish house that we're sitting in right now, we camped in the field that we were going to hunt at, you know, legal shooting time. We were
200
there.
yards from where we were going to start walking.
And somebody beat us to the spot.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, we should put it down here because I don't want to be too close to where we start hunting and the birds get all freaked out. And apparently we weren't there early enough. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
We were there a day early and we got beat to the spot. But it was funny because I remember, you know, just sitting there on the hill watching this guy walk, and I'm thinking, there are so many pheasants in this draw, and there's one guy and one dog. And I don't know, I don't remember, you and I walked out there together, and we just made the decision, like, this guy's going to have his limit before he gets halfway across this field.
Oh, yeah.
We got to just stay. Because we were going to go drive and find somewhere else, and then all of a sudden we see other people pull in on the next section, and we're thinking, oh boy, this is a disaster. It ended up being incredible. I mean, I don't know how, but it felt like there were just as many birds as if that guy didn't walk through the start of the property.
I mean, right away, right off the bat. I mean, one guy, one dog. I thought the draw was a little smaller than it was, but at a lot of parts it was 150, 200 yards wide. And you know, just looking off satellite, you know, I could have measured, but I was just sitting there like, oh gosh, it's ruined. Like, drove all the way out here, our spot. I see people, you know, it's just like the sky is falling. But
television camera, we got limited time. We got to make a TV show, and here's somebody else hunting the spot that we had camped on, waiting to walk on opening morning, and we ended up filling our. Did we get our limit?
I don't even know.
I don't remember. But between the pheasants, the Hungarian partridge, and the sharp-tailed grouse, all 3 of those birds in the same draw. At one point, I remember, dog on point, covey of Hungarian partridge get up. George Lyle to my left pulls a trigger. A Hun drops, hits the grass, and that causes a rooster to erupt. And so he shoots at the rooster. He misses that bird. And meanwhile, right over his shoulder comes a Sharpie just soaring right past. And I've told this story a couple times now, but you can't get that everywhere. And it was such an incredible sight on public ground. Anybody could hunt it, you know.
Yeah.
So this show, and there's a couple things I really want to focus on. One is picking out how you find, dissect, locate, plan your hunts, because we've had a lot of listeners and viewers to the show say, I live on the East Coast. I hear you guys talk about this. I don't know how to do it. How do you plan a hunt? You are a master at it, so we'll get into that. Another thing I want to talk about is getting permission and keeping permission on private grounds. Because
you are the master of.
my success rate continues to go up. So I thought we could talk about ways that I've learned to form relationships with farmers and landowners that continue to give me access to hunt on their property. But first, I got to know, how's Annie, your dog, doing?
The old 3.5-legged wonder dog.
Is she up to a half now?
I think she's up to a half. You know, she's the
first take us back. What happened to her this summer, and then where is she at today?
Yeah, so Annie, the day I moved home to Minnesota from Mississippi, she had running around in the park, and all of a sudden her back leg just gave out. Couldn't move it, like dragging it. And then pretty soon her whole back end went out. So she had what's called a FCE. It's essentially a spinal stroke. And she couldn't walk for 2 months. Probably, yeah. What would that be? July, August, yeah. Where I had to carry her with a towel, and slowly she started to, be able to get around. And it's really now just affecting one leg. But we had the conversation about if she couldn't walk by September, we're gonna probably have to put her down, just because that's no way for, a dog like that to live if she can't run around. Like, she would just be miserable. So
How old is she?
she's 5. Yep. So, we had her out in Montana the first time, and it was hot, so she was doing okay. It was like, oh, this is whatever, it's fine. But then by the time the second trip rolled around to Montana, she was noticeably better. And by the end of the year, she was, going full steam ahead. A little slower than she was before, obviously, but she would hunt. She hunted all day, every day. Especially when it got cold, she was fine. So
Wow.
yeah,
I felt like I was just drawn to watching her because she was at a disadvantage to the other dogs out in the field, but yet she didn't let that stop her. And it's just like the heart of the dog. And it makes you just look at a dog and say, gosh, that's why dogs are just the best. They
gives you
just
shivers.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. So did the doctor ever say anything about amputating the leg? Because essentially she's dragging it behind her,
Mm-hmm.
right? Did they ever make that suggestion to you guys?
I just I went on Facebook and joined some of those groups, FC groups, and it was just for 2 months or 2.5 months. I was just so like every day I was checking it, like, all right, what is there another dog that was similar to Annie, so I could gauge like, all right,
What to expect.
what's going to happen. And yeah, they definitely amputated. But then after like hunting season started, I just thankfully I kind of pulled myself out of that, just sitting and worrying, and we just hunted. And to be honest, I didn't even think about it. Like I put a rubber Lewis dog boot on her, and we just went hunting. And after it started, I was just like, it never crossed my mind. I was just like, she loves it. She's getting around great. Like, getting around is as good as I could have hoped.
Yeah.
And it never crossed my mind.
Well, my dog Daisy, she ran through our neighbors. I believe it was a fence in their backyard, and got a pretty sizable rip on her paw. I tried 3 times to fix it on my own, and I didn't do it successfully. So when I was up at Lake of the Woods, my wife took her into the vet, and she got some stitches on her, and so she's got this this basically like a dog boot bag because they don't want any snow to get on her paw right now while no moisture on that foot while she heals. And I'm just amazed. I take her outside and she goes flying at like 30 miles an hour like she always does through the yard, and only on 3 legs. Like she doesn't, because she doesn't want to touch the snow with that boot because it seems weird. So she's got her back paw just straight out the back. There she's running, flying around. And even when I know this is too much information, but even when she stops to take a poop, normally the squat, she's got one leg sticking straight out in the squat. They're very good on 3 legs. They're very good.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I want to get into the 2 main topics here on hunting land and access, both public and private. But first, I want to thank Onyx Maps for helping us to make this show possible. The Onyx Hunt app is one of the most helpful tools available for hunters today. I use Onyx Maps basically every single time I step into the field. I also use the Hunt app for other outdoor adventures. Like today, I dropped a pin on the boat axis and created a trail to my fish house. Then I sent that information to Ben in a text so that he could find the landing and safely drive across the lake to find my fish house. This is just one of the many tools that you can use in your app. Onyx shows aerial views of land and property boundaries on both public and private grounds. You can find landowner names and see exactly where their property lines run. The app allows me to zoom into the property and come up with a game plan before I ever step into the field. You can also check wind and weather forecasts on your property, which will help you put yourself and your dog in the right position to hunt the property for success. Onyx Maps are available in offline mode, which means that if you leave cell service, you still have peace of mind knowing that your GPS signal will continue and your maps will always be visible. My Onyx app has become a hunting diary with GPS coordinates and trails and notes that I'll most likely use for the rest of my life. If you've never used the app, I highly recommend that you give it a try before your next adventure. Onyx gives you a free trial to test the product. My guess is that you'll become a lifelong user like myself and my hunting buddies like Ben. The Onyx Hunt app helps you to know where you stand. Ben, any guess how many pins you dropped in your app this year?
Oh, it's crazy.
Guess, just throw out a number. Is it
I would have to say probably 2,000.
2,000?
It sent me an alert saying like, hey, you should pretty much essentially cool it.
No way. There's not a limit, right?
No, but at some point, like you have so many of them, it's like you should probably turn some of them, like hide some of them because it's going to really slow down the app.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So do you color code any of your pins so that you know what they mean, or do you just let it run wild?
No, I couldn't do that. Otherwise, I'd have no idea
what any of it
what
means.
anything meant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do color code it. So on spots that I scout on my computer, or just okay, this looks like a good area to try off of aerial imagery, I'll mark it yellow. So if it's I'll use the upland waypoint, pheasant, quail, whatever. I'll mark it yellow. Say, okay, this looks good. Once I get there and I put eyes on it, and either I see birds out there driving around, or I confirm like, okay, this is good habitat, I'll turn it like a purple color. And then finally, when I hunt it, I move birds or shoot birds off it, I'll turn it to blue.
Okay.
So, and I don't name them typically because otherwise it defaults the name to the date that you put it. So then, because some people do it by year, but I'll leave the name blank and put in notes if I have any notes on it. So then I can know what year I dropped it, and then if I've shot birds. And once this is a blue one. Yep, I remember hunting there. I remember what I did. So.
Gotcha. Well, so I mentioned this earlier, but a lot of questions have come in over the last year, 2 years, but specifically the last couple months, because we've been doing myself specifically, I've been doing a lot of do-it-yourself type of hunting. It's my favorite way to hunt. I've done it my whole life, knocking on doors and then hunting public grounds. And so we're fortunate. We're not in the heart of bird country, but we're close to it.
Yes.
We're within a 5-hour drive to being in some of the best pheasant fields in North America. We can shoot a pheasant. You and I live in the same town.
Yes.
Yeah. We live about a quarter mile from each other, which is awesome. But we could shoot a pheasant within 2 miles of our place.
You could probably shoot one within about 200 yards.
If I haven't seen one
really
in all my years in my backyard. I've seen coyotes and deer and raccoon. Had some turkeys gobbling. But yeah, so basically the city owns 40 acres of a wetland in my backyard, but there's no ag land nearby, and so I've never seen a pheasant in there. We put wood duck boxes up, and we get to watch the wood ducks come in the wetland, and then there's a hillside with some oaks on it. So I've heard some turkeys gobbling. We've tried to call them into the yard. They haven't come, but I'm holding out hope that it will happen. Coyotes, fox, coon, all kinds of other critters, but I keep waiting for the day when the long-tailed rooster comes strutting through. But anyway, where was I going? We get sidetracked so easy. This is real. This is what our normal conversations are like when we're not trying to record them. But anyway,
planning a hunt.
Oh yes. Okay. So I've been waiting to do a show talking specifically, going in depth, and how to plan a hunt to go somewhere that you've never been. Because let's just say somebody in North Carolina that's listening says, I hear you guys go blah, blah, blah. There's so many birds in North Dakota, and you just want to go there and experience it. But how do you know where to start? Or Montana, it's massive. Where do you start? So can you kind of like walk us through, and then we'll just go together on this, but how you go about finding a place to hunt that you've never been on before?
Yeah, so that same question, I hear it all the time, especially living in the South. Like, that looks so much fun. I want to go to South Dakota and hunt pheasants. I've got a dog, a lab, or whatever, but I'm just going to go do a guided deal because I don't know. And I'm like, I always tell people, it's like, there's so much public land. It's so easy. But I take that, I guess, for granted, that knowledge of, it is easy once you know what to look for. Otherwise, it's super daunting, right? You're going to go travel 2,000 miles,
right?
And you've never pheasant hunted. You don't know what to do. So
most people don't spend the night in the back of their truck or pull a trailer with to sleep out in the field. They've got 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
I got 7 days this year that I've got set aside for my fall hunting trip.
Yep.
I want to make the most of it. They're scared of failing. Most people are scared of failing. So sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No, so so what I first, like when I'm first embarking on a new trip, new species, whatever, is first off, you got to figure out, all right, what am I hunting? Am I hunting pheasants? Am I hunting quail, chucker, whatever? And then the biggest thing is you have to find where they are, right? You have to find where they live on a macro sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no sense saying, well, I've been to whatever, let's just say Western Colorado, and I've hunted out there, and I'm going to go pheasant hunting out there. It's like, no, probably don't do that.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to just big picture look
A little
at it.
studying beforehand to know the species in the regions that they live.
Yeah, and we're lucky now where the internet is just this giant machine. It's so easy. So I'll start looking by, just searching like, all right, South Dakota. Let's take Montana for example, because I did a lot of that this year. Do it yourself, Montana Sharpie hunting, and a lot of people on the you look through old message boards from like 2009 or articles that somebody has written, and say, all right, we're hunting in that that certain area, whether it's Lewistown or whatever, Billings, and then you kind of you start to get a picture, and also using the DNR or Game and Fish resources. All right, here's the range of where these birds live essentially. So then I'll do that first, then I'll go on the message boards and try to find towns and stuff or areas I think, okay, this could be good. But then really from there, I'll get into Onyx. And, well, actually, let's take a step back. First, I have to figure out, all right, what does good habitat look like on an aerial sense? Mm-hmm. So
that's hard to know until you've walked it. Mm-hmm. Because I've been into some quail country before where I thought, boy, I think I know what I'm looking for, and then I spend some time in the field, and I realize quickly that I'm mistaken because they are not in that cover. Same thing, too, for sharp-tailed grouse in Minnesota versus sharp-tailed grouse in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. A big-time difference there. I mean, I've walked some of the most beautiful grass Minnesota has to offer up in the northwest corner of the state and never seen a single bird in it. Take 10 steps into a patch of willows, and they just erupt.
Yeah.
You wouldn't find, most of the time, you're not going to find sharp-tailed grouse out on North Dakota's prairie in willows. You're going to find them on tops of the hills or in certain berries. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so that's a good point because, I was talking like this year I spent a significant time like on the eastern part of Montana. Next year my goal is I'm going to, expand westward and hunt some of the areas that I guess I don't know if you'd call it more traditional, but just kind of that big open rolling nothingness with a lot shorter grass than we were hunting. So I'm kind of going through the same process now, trying to figure out, all right, what looks good on the map. And like you said, that's the hardest thing. So actually what has been pretty helpful is obviously talking to people, but then what I'll do is I'll actually go on like Google Maps and use their, that little, you see a Google car driving around with all the cameras on top of it.
Yeah.
They've mapped out so many like routes. So I'll go on Onyx, I'll go zoom in, look at, a piece along the road that looks good, like to my eye. And then I'll go take that little Google Street View guy, that orange guy, and I'll drop them like it's on a main highway, and I'll drop it on there. And then so I can actually go down the road and look off to the side. Brilliant. And see what that looks like.
I've never done that. I like that idea.
Yeah. So that really helped, like when I was trying to connect the dots on what good cover looked like, or, all right, I see this on the map. Mm-hmm. It looks like, let's just say a chokecherry bush, but I don't know. Yeah. Or this looks like a piece of good thick CRP. Then I'll go to that Google Street View and say, okay, that is really good thick CRP, or that is a chokecherry bush. And then once I know what it looks like from an aerial view, then I can go and find similar areas. That's the biggest thing, is just to find area that looks good. And if you Google like sharp-tailed grouse habitat, a lot of the times, so Tyler Webster and I did that video about how to find them.
Yep.
So
where's that at?
It's on his YouTube channel actually. So if you go to, I think it's Birds, Booze, and Buds.
Okay.
On how
YouTube.
To find sharp-tails.
Yep.
So. And once you know what one area looks like, then you can really expand and be like, okay, that looks similar, that looks similar, that looks similar.
Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest thing to start is like you got to find your region, right? I mean, Montana's massive. You're not going to hunt southern Montana and then northern Montana in the same trip.
Yeah.
So, finding your region, and I mean, do you feel like you wait until the states release kind of a bird count for the summer before you start planning, or are you already planning your hunts for next year?
I'm planning my hunts already. Just what I'll do is I'll go and mark. I've got marks all the way from the Wyoming Montana border all the way up to Canada and across the northern half of Montana. So it's really just kind of where I want to go. I don't really, especially for Sharpies, Sharpies and Huns, it's like I'll just kind of go because thankfully especially with the Sharpie, they're a little bit more hardy bird, especially for winter. So year over year, I don't feel like they fluctuate as much as like pheasants do. I don't know if you have the same sentiment or...
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And with sharp-tailed grouse, if the ground doesn't get broken, if the plow doesn't come through, I've talked to several other hunters. You just mentioned Tyler. He's one of them. But basically, like if you find an area where there's a covey, that covey size may change from year to year, but that particular ground has what they need. And there's a great chance, better than average chance, that you could go back to that same spot in a year, 5 years later, 10 years later, and as long as the ground hasn't been touched, for sharptails anyway, great chance that there's going to be a covey in that general area. It happens more times than not. So, you talk about 2,000 pins that you've dropped.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at, in the middle of the hunt, stopping and dropping a pin. And then I leave the property and I think, gosh, I should have done more. I should have documented more on it. But so, how do you choose, let's just take, you've got a 200 square mile region, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you then figure out where you're going to hunt?
So a lot of the biggest thing is, I'm a public land hunter for the most part. So I'll go in and find areas where there is, there could be a 50, 80 mile stretch or radius where there's really no public land. There might be, 100 acres, 200 acres. So if I'm going to go to that area and I strike out on those two spots, I have to go drive, 50 miles further to go get into another piece of public land. So I'll start in an area that has a good density of either walk-in area like out in Montana, the BMA program or plots or walk-in areas, as well as the government land. So I find a concentration of that. And you might run into more hunters there, but there's just a lot more options in case plan A goes wrong. And it's like, oh, this got overgrazed or something like that. So you just have a lot more opportunities in striking distance. So I'll find these areas that have these high concentrations of public land. And then that's when I start digging in deeper and looking at the actual individual pieces of ground. But like zoom out on a state level even, or just where you can start to see like on the eastern half, let's just say. And you can pick out big chunks of it. And that's where I start.
Gotcha. I think sometimes when you get into these big chunks of land, they can be intimidating, right? And you want success. Most people want success. If they're being honest, they want it right away. And if they don't, they start second-guessing themselves. I'm not in the right spot. I didn't pick the right spot. They move faster than they probably should to cover more ground, to try to find it quicker. They walk past birds. They walk past birds. They miss the little things. I think for me, and what I've done in my lifetime, going to new places is to try to... Okay, we've got this big chunk, but we're going to figure out, because somewhere on this property, the birds are living somewhere. And like we talked about before, the right habitat. So when I get there, I like to drive around the whole property before I even walk, if I can. If it's possible to drive around, I want to look at it, because I've seen the view from, the Onyx map or Google. I've looked at the aerial view looking down on it. I want to see it from my own eyes. I want to look at, what kind of food sources are we talking? Where's the best looking cover on this property? How am I going to approach it? Those are 3 ways that really kind of shorten your walk and find success.
Big time.
Yeah. What are you looking for when you show up to a property?
So really what I like to find is, first off, is just the right type of cover. So pheasants, So the right type being, I really like to see a mosaic of cover.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning, all right, here's cattails, maybe here's a tree belt, here's ag, here's marshland. Like I want to see that all in kind of a tight area.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I know there's going to be birds there because I'm not saying like, all right, I'm going to throw all my eggs into the cattail basket.
Right.
Like this giant sea of cattails.
Wait till December if you can.
Yeah, I don't.
As long as you can hold out without
You can
going to
have
this
it.
kid. I know. I know it.
So, yeah, I like to find that area because then I know within a short walk, I can hit all these different types of cover and then I can really hone in on a program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, I walked tree lines. Let's just say I didn't see anything in the tree line. Okay, then I can rule out a lot of cover. I walked marsh. It was okay, but really the jam was this nice thick native prairie next to a cut cornfield, which is generally pretty always.
That's usually pretty good.
Yeah. So, all right, and then I'll just try to replicate that across properties that I've found.
Right. The first day I show up on a property, I always set my expectations low, and I go into it figuring that I'm not going to be as successful as I will be on day 2 or 3, but what I do today is what's going to determine how my hunt is going to go forward. So the first day, I may fail a bunch, but I'm like a sponge out there. I'm looking, I'm watching, okay, this is where the birds came from, this is where they're going. If I were to do it again, I would do this or that. And then you start to put together these patterns. And it doesn't matter if, we're in the Badlands in North Dakota this fall, and the first day, to be honest, was not good. It was not good. And the guy that we were with, he's like, I flushed like 8 coveys on these ridges last week, and there was none there. And so we just got in the truck and drove around a little bit down the 2-track roads, and we're just kind of like looking at stuff, looking at the terrain, what could have changed, and we started to see certain types of berries and bushes, and we saw, there's a covey flying across, a half a mile away. Just stop, watch, and you start to put these pieces together. And same thing out in the grasslands of South Dakota, prairie chicken. I've had several people reach out this year, and I said, okay, if I were you and you've never hunted it, I'd find a great vantage point and be there at sunrise and just sit for a while
binoculars
and just watch prairie chicken fly from place to place, sharp-tailed grouse walk. Different creatures, different birds. You're going to see them moving. You're going to figure out pretty quickly, they're feeding here. They're setting up over here during the middle of the day, and pretty soon you can put together a plan. So I tell people, be easy on yourself the first day. Don't walk 50 miles. You might learn a lot more by sitting still and just being observant for a little bit, and it's going to make the rest of your hunt a success.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, you'd be surprised. I mean, driving around, you end up seeing a lot of birds just driving around, and I'm not talking about road hunting, but like you take half the first day. It's just like scouting for anything, for deer, whatever. Take some time and scout. So it was just amazing. Like, just my time. I think before you came out, I took a whole day or two mornings and just drove around looking for areas, and I was shocked at how many birds I saw and pieces of cover that, okay, I wouldn't expect birds to be in there. I wouldn't expect pheasants to be in there necessarily, but just by driving around and dropping pins on where I found birds, like it's a really effective technique.
Well, and then if you go to South Dakota, it's on a lot of people's bucket list. I got to have one of those South Dakota hunts, and I want to do it in a bucket or in a do-it-yourself type hunt on public land. Okay, well, that's not that hard to do because of the opportunities are there. But what happens a lot of times, people, they go through all this effort. They drive all the way across the country or fly or whatever. They bring their dog. They get there, and they go out and hammer the beers the night before, and they say, I can't hunt till 10 o'clock anyway. Well, then at 10 o'clock, they go out to the field, and they might not be the first there, or they missed out on what they could have learned in those sunrise hours.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, this year we did that road trip through South Dakota, and I was on the road at sunrise and making my way to our next location. But on the way, I can't help but notice every dang long tail feathers sticking up in the air in the stubble field out there feeding. And all of a sudden you find these pockets. And that's why, like, I tell people, like, the Aberdeen area, I was on the road several mornings, different directions near Aberdeen and Huron and those areas, and there were so many birds out in those areas because when we aren't hunting at 8 a.m., they are just thick out in the fields, and you start to figure out, like, this is an area that if I'm going to spend some time hunting, I want to be here because just the density of birds. And I wouldn't have seen it if I was laying in the hotel bed, or at the lodge, and waiting for 10 o'clock to roll around. So just being out there when the birds are moving in the open is so valuable.
Yeah, it's can't be understated because, like a lot of the times you see that group of birds, I'll just sit and wait on them. And especially, all right, I found the area I think I want to hunt. I'll sit, like if there's 20 birds out in a field at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll just sit there and watch them. And, they'll eventually start filtering back into the cover.
Right.
And then you know exactly where you should walk. It's like, okay, every single bird I saw flew into this patch of willows or patches of willows, or they flew into the marsh. And it's like, all right, I know exactly where to go to get on them. I mean, talk about instant gratification.
Right, totally. And then also instant heartache when you saw 20 birds in the field and then you took 10 steps in the grass and 20 birds flew away.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, this is how this is going to go. All right. But I will say, and, we're on this topic, so I want to say that personally for me, the reward in the hunt comes from figuring it out and going through the effort and maybe walking property that sucked and I didn't get anything, didn't shoot a gun, but figuring it out on my own, I mean, that's to me the greatest reward in the hunt is what it took to get there. And I love hunting with buddies and I love going to new places. And, with the television show, I'm fortunate that you were out there before we got to Montana. You drove around for a day or two, and there's typically somebody that we're going to go film with and hunt with. So that's not the reality for most people, that they're going to go to a place and somebody's pre-scouted or has lived there their whole life and can tell them. But that doesn't mean that it can't be done very easily because you did it. You'd never hunted out there before. And when we were with you even, we're like, gosh, want to go try this spot? Yeah. And we're like, I mean, it's got the right pieces, right? It's got this. It's got some willows in the middle of it. There's some cattails. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens. We did okay in some, and we just hit grand slams in others,
Yeah. And, you're going to strike out for sure. Like that first trip I made out to Montana, we walked there. I think there were 6 of us, and we walked for a day and a half in a different area, like where we were 200 miles away. We walked for a day and a half, and I don't think we moved a bird, maybe one. And it's like, okay, we walked a bunch of different, like, all right, these areas I marked out, and they looked like the right habitat, but there weren't birds there. So your point of, all right, sticking it out on the same front, like if you're there for a day and a half and you walked, sunrise to sunset or whatever, I wouldn't just keep beating your head against the wall. I'd go and look at making potentially a bigger shift because there just might not be birds in that area or as many birds.
That's a point that I think should be on everyone's radar that's going to a place that they've never hunted before. A lot of times people, they'll say, this is my area, this is my core, and they might get there and it might be that they're too stubborn to leave, or they don't want to leave, or maybe weather comes in and it just knocks out their hunt. Well, that storm front 200 miles to the north or 100 miles to the north just missed. You could have had the best hunting. So I like to say, when I go hunting, I like to be mobile. I like to be able to say, you know what? My hotel reservation, I might only book it by the night.
Yep.
Because tomorrow night I might be 3 hours north of here, and I'm going to keep on moving in that direction. And those tend to be the hunts where I find the most success. You camped in the back of your truck. I pulled this dang fish house around. I mean, we weren't stuck to a place, and it allowed us the ability to learn on the fly, which, again, makes it rewarding, and, again, allows us to keep putting ourselves in the right places.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on hunting the public land that you want to touch on?
The biggest thing is depending on what state you're going, is definitely it's worth looking at the regulations.
Always.
per piece of property, because it's got to a few instances where it was like, all right, they're just nuances. It's like, oh, you can't hunt this piece today, or like North Dakota, for example, like WMAs. If you're going out there for the first week of season, you can hunt private land, but you can't hunt the WMAs there. So
Good
just
point.
really look at that, because you could do a ton of scouting and then walk and realize like, oh, I can't even hunt that. Like, let's take Sand Lake, for example, South Dakota. Like, yeah, that'd be a great early season spot, but you just can't do it. So.
Second Saturday or second Monday in October or December.
Yep.
She opens up. Yeah. Or like if you're going to go to North Dakota and you want to do waterfowl one day and up, part of the day, and then up on the other part of the day. Well, there's certain days of the week where you can't hunt geese afternoon.
Yep.
So each state has their own individual laws. So that's an obvious point that I think that everybody has to look into.
Yeah,
make sure that they stay on the legal side.
And I just bring it up because it's happened to me before, where I've gotten out there and realized that, shoot, I messed up. And I didn't mess up, but my plan has been ruined because I learned these regulations. So it helps on the front end to look at that.
Oh, 2 years ago we filmed a hunt out on Lake Sakakawea. We hunted out on one of the islands on the lake, and it was during the peak of the migration. There were a couple million snow geese there. Mm-hmm. Well, we had planned a day like, okay, this afternoon we're going to do a goose hunt. So we did the upland hunt in the morning, and then we're driving down to the place. We got the whole trailer full of decoys and everything, and I go, hey, what day is it? And it clicked on, like, we were literally at the place where we were going to set up with all the gear, and it clicked in my head that I don't know why, but I was like, we can't hunt right now.
Yeah.
So we literally just turned around and went back home. Like, we didn't get to do that part because we weren't paying attention, or we didn't plan it accordingly. So good note there. Okay, so when it comes to private ground, you and I have knocked on I don't know how many doors. I've knocked on hundreds and hundreds of doors. That's what I grew up doing. I still do it today. I feel like my success rate is over 50% yeses. What's yours?
It really depends, but I would say it's definitely, the places I've been asking, I'd say upwards of 50%. When you factor in some of the stuff closer to bigger metropolitan areas, I think it definitely goes down. But yeah, somewhere around there as well.
The further away from the big populations of people, the success tends to be higher. So let's say you're in Montana, like you talked about, and you were hunting public lands, and you on the map see that this is a giant chunk of land. Massive, actually, because some of those landowners own hundreds of thousands of acres. So you can find out really quickly who owns it, and then you can knock on doors. So I feel like those types of scenarios, the chances generally go up. But I feel like there are certain things that we can do as hunters to get a higher success rate. So if you're able to go to an area, or let's say around where you live, if you're going to go ask permission, I like to do it before I'm actually going to go hunt. Let's say I want to hunt, the pheasant opener. I'm not going to go there the morning of pheasant opener dressed in my vest, my blaze orange or camouflage or whatever it might be, and knock on the door and hope that I get access. I think most people would agree that that's, not the right way to approach it. Your chances are going down, and then you don't have time to scout and etc. But I also like to go into it thinking it's sort of along the lines of an interview, right? You want to present yourself pretty well. These are landowners. You don't know them. They don't know you, most likely, and you are hoping to use their resource. They've worked hard, most likely, to have that. And if they're going to let somebody on, they have to be able to trust you. So if you're going to come up to their property, I like to at least look presentable. I don't want to be covered in mud. I don't want
covered in blood.
Covered in mud or blood from the hunt. Yeah, I want to go up there. And I think the biggest thing is, you look presentable, trustworthy. You want to look trustworthy if you can. But you also don't... I think so. Confidence is hard to come by, right?
Yeah.
Until you experience success, confidence can be hard to achieve. But the more confident you are, it seems to me that the smoother a conversation is going to go. You have to be okay with a no, but I feel like for me, I go into the conversations, I introduce myself, and I start talking to them. I look at the property and I say, wow, this is just a really nice place you guys have here. I explain, I like this fall I wanted, because I hunted a lot of public lands here in near where we live in the just west metro of Minneapolis. We're out far in the country, but not that far. It's busy. So I wanted my dog to be able to smell some birds, and the public lands had been hit so hard that we weren't. So I knocked on a couple of, 8, 10 doors one morning, and I just said, I got a puppy and I love to get her out for a walk. And I've had some troubles on some of the public grounds nearby because just haven't run into any birds. And I don't know if you allow anybody to hunt on your property, but I'm curious if you might. Something along those lines, and it opens up a conversation, and they might tell me about their dog or when they go hunting with their kids. And I had one guy, and he said, we hunted quite a bit. When are you thinking? And I said, I don't have a timetable. I just thought I would stop and ask. I understand either way. He said, well, why don't you come back here next week? I've got, we're taking crops out here and there. Well, all of a sudden, this guy opens up to me. He starts talking about, he's got certain things in his life, and he's actually battling cancer. This guy tells me, we start talking about life and other things. And he said, you know what? Anytime you want to hunt out here, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Wow.
If you want to bring your kids out here too, they can come too. And so I went out there, went for a walk. This is just one example, right? So the hunting gets me into the conversation, right? I explain why I've knocked on their door and I'm wasting their time. But I think it's just being more personable with them and talking about life, their land. In the past, I've grown relationships with ranchers and farmers. I have helped them. One time, this was when I was in college, and I was bow hunting and waterfowl hunting on this guy's land, and the cows got out.
Yeah.
I remember I helped them
wrangle on your
the cows.
Cowboy hat?
Yes, and I learned that day how to vaccinate cows too, which, I love it.
Yeah.
I love all the parts of it. I didn't get to hunt that day, but I gained a farmer's trust, and now 15 years, 20 years later, I could go knock on that door and say, Jerry, do you mind if I bring my kids out here and go for a walk? Oh, Travis, it's good to see you. Do you want to come in for dinner? No, Jerry, I can't. I can't do it tonight because the sun's going to set. But I appreciate it. He goes, yeah, anytime. So I think what I'm doing now, okay, you get permission. Somebody says you can come back out there. When I go there, I let them know where I'm going to be.
Yep.
Right? I let them know I'm coming out. If they are okay with sending a text, I send them a text. I just want to let you know that I'm going to be out there tomorrow. I'm going to bring my dad with, or I'm going to bring my boys with. We're going to go out. They know that there's no surprises then, because now that you've gotten the in, there still has to be this point where they're like, do I really trust this guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, communication is huge there, even to the point where it's like, all right, I'll be out there in my white Dodge or out in my silver Ford, and maybe one day it's like your dad decided to drive. Mm-hmm. Okay, hey, I'm going to be out there in this. I'm taking my dad and I are going. We're going to take his truck, because I've had that happen where, they'll race out there and they'll be like, oh, it's just you, Ben, and it's like I think, oh, dang it, I didn't text him saying I'll be in a different vehicle. Mm-hmm.
They want to know.
Little things like that. It always helps to over-communicate.
Over-communicate, absolutely. So the reason I'm bringing this topic up today is because it's really pertinent for this time of the year. Mm-hmm. This is the off season, right? Most people aren't thinking about knocking on a farmer's door right now. Mm-hmm. But if you did this year, or if you did last year, and somebody said, you know what, go ahead, I'll let you hunt out there. Please respect the land. Yep, definitely going to do that. If you haven't already, I always go back to those landowners. Like a couple weeks ago, I I make a batch. So make a batch of summer sausage, breakfast sausage, brats out of the deer that we harvested, and some other meals. My wife made a batch of cookies. And the kids helped make them, and they were in shapes that were pretty fun for the farmers. We had some deer, we had some birds or something, I forget. But and I brought my kids with because a couple times they got to go hunt on their land. Two things happen here. One, I bring this landowner something. It's letting them know, hey, I really appreciate you opening up your land and trusting me to go out there. Most times when you bring them something like that, they're going to just say, wow, thank you. You did not have to do that. If you go back there in September this year, or August or December and knock on the door, they're going to remember you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
100%. They're going to remember you, and the chances of you getting access again are going to go up. And let's be honest, we're not the only ones knocking on doors, too. So while your chances go up, you're giving hunters a lot better name at the same time because you didn't come out there and disrespect their property. You took good care of it. You left it better, hopefully better than it was when you got there, and then you showed your appreciation. So some of the people that have let me hunt their land, I've been doing this for like 20 years.
Wow.
I know their family very well, and they are excited when we come out and see my kids. Oh man, things sure have changed.
Yep.
I said, yeah. They're like, I remember when you were still in high school and you came out here. I used to bring them fish, once or twice a year.
That's a big thing, fish there. We started the conversation out with everyone loves fish.
Everyone loves fish. Fresh fish, man. It's hard to beat that. But the second part of that is when I bring my kids along with, they get to see how to interact with these farmers and how to be respectful towards them. So I'm hoping that they're watching and learning by example. They get to go up there with a plate of cookies that they made and say thank you. Next year when we go back and we ask permission, they're going to come with, and a lot of times they've told stories. Oh, one day we were sitting in the blind and a deer came by and it went and smelled and took off, and we saw 4 pheasants out there and they all got away, the stories. So this is the time of the year when I really highly suggest if somebody has let you hunt on their land, that you take a little bit of time and go back and say thank you. I'm not just talking to you. I'm just talking to everybody. I've got one more batch of cookies that we're going to make, and one more round here of farmers that have let us hunt on their land, and I'm probably going to do that next week, I think.
Yeah, and kind of talking about this time of year, the season's been done for 23 days now, so I'm already thinking about next year.
Yeah.
And, a lot of these states, if you're planning on traveling there, what I started to do is writing letters. Nobody writes letters anymore. So there's some guys that I had knocked on their door, let's just say in Montana, and they weren't there. They didn't answer. I was like, dang, whatever. So I've started writing letters to them just saying, hey, I was hunting out in that area this year. You've got a great looking piece of property. I'd love to be able to come out and hunt sharptails or pheasants or whatever. And then it kind of puts it in their court, and say, hey, here's my phone number. Here's my email. However, feel free to call me, text me, however you want to do it. Love to just talk, and mail it to them. And sometimes I'll put like, hey, obviously we love our dogs, so I'll put a picture like, hey, this is me a mile down the road on public land. I'll put a picture in there. It's like, hey, this is just down on the public land by a road. Love this area. Can't wait to come back.
Yeah.
And mail it to them, and then, you might not like a few of them. I haven't probably, I don't know, maybe 10% I've heard back of probably 15 letters I've sent.
Yeah.
But at least then you could go up there, you knock on the door again, be like, oh, I wrote you a letter.
You're the guy that wrote the letter, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you can't call them or whatever, that's a good way this time of year to up your odds for next season.
Absolutely. And when I go on hunts out in places not near my home, like I'm talking dropping cookies off close to home here, but let's just say 7 hours to the west.
Yeah.
What I've done a lot in the past is if somebody's given us permission to hunt their land, before we leave that area, we'll just go into town and get a gift certificate at a local restaurant. And then afterwards, we'll just stop by and say, really appreciate you letting us come out here. It means a lot to us. We couldn't have had this experience without you. And I want you to know that it means a lot to us. And we want you to be able to take your husband or your wife out to dinner and on us. So this is a gift from us to you. It's just a way of saying thank you, doing something because they did something they didn't have to do for us. Yeah. Right. And I feel like I may or may not hunt that place again. But the next person that knocks on their door, I think their chances are going to go up because we did something positive.
Yep, it was a great example.
Set a good example that hunters are good people, you know, and we can really take care of the land and we can keep the tradition alive and moving forward and respect what they have.
Yeah, and so, you know, we talked about that on the flip side. The one thing, you just have to kind of watch social cues. It's like sometimes if you're going out in the fall especially and the farmer's busy and he's trying to take crops off, you got to pay attention to that and make things, if he's in a hurry, like you got to pick up on that and be like, okay, yep, this is great. Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then maybe swing back for a little bit, drop it off and just take those cues, because I've had people that have just like, they just seem like extremely rude, but you know, you think back, it's like, oh, they were just busy. They were harvesting. They were making a living. And, you know, don't be insulted that they were curt. And even if they said yes, it's just like, go ahead, get out. I got to go do something else.
Right.
So, and then sometimes on the flip side, a lot of the times they'll want to sit and talk for an hour.
It goes two extremes for sure.
Yep. So Absolutely. It's a dance, and just pick up on that and don't be, just kind of follow what they're doing and kind of their communication.
Yeah. So again, the off season is a really, really easy time to go out there and make those relationships last a long time. So get a batch of cookies, get your kids, and go out there and say thanks to a farmer that let you go hunt their land. Ben, anything exciting on your front coming through, puppy?
Yep. We've got another four-legged friend joining the pack.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yes.
Do tell.
So, I don't know why I'm getting another dog. I just love dogs. I already have 3 of them.
Sure.
So, yeah, most people think I'm just absolutely insane.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. But why the 4th?
I know. So I just, after hunting, if you've watched the TV show with George and see his dogs.
George Lyle's dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I have Daisy.
Yes.
Yeah. And George and Tyler. Those 2 guys. Yep.
And I was just like blown away. Like, this is like, these dogs are unreal and they just cover so much ground. And it's like, I want one of those. And so I talked myself into it. I talked my wife into it. She still isn't necessarily happy about it, but she's like, yeah, you love them. Go ahead. So an English pointer is joining the pack this year. And
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
And the funny thing about it is I have, for some reason, like, I'm 30 years old. I'm a grown adult. I'm married, live in my own house.
To be debated. Yeah.
And I still haven't told my parents yet, because I'm sure they're going to be like...
You haven't told your parents?
No. So they'll probably hear it. I don't know. I just feel like, they're like, oh, you shouldn't have a 4th dog. It's like, well, I already have 3 dogs.
Right,
I live in my own house. But I just thought that was funny. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. I love the training, the developing, and I've had draughts before, versatile dogs. So this whole new... strict bird dog using the Hunt Smith method, and I'm looking forward to it. I love that. I love training dogs. I'm not the world's best by any means, but I just enjoy it. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I've learned. I got the Lamborghini out of the box and just gone. And I've had to learn. And you've seen my dog plenty to know, but. She's the sweetest dog, and she's come a long way. And the reward in being immersed in the whole process is, to me, it's like the hunt, right? It's like the do-it-yourself hunt. You got to go through it to really feel the reward, to know that it all came around.
Yeah, and it's what makes me, like, when I get up, I'm excited. Like, if I'm having a bad day, even, it's like, okay. I'm getting another dog, or I'm gonna go get a run with my dogs today.
If I have a bad day, I'm not getting another dog. Not getting another dog.
Your bad day might be probably early on. It was probably because of the dog.
Yeah. Well, Ben, I appreciate you taking the time to join us here. We'll do it again soon because you and I love hunting just as much, and it's a lot of fun to talk hunting with you. Hopefully we get to spend several days in the field again soon this fall. It is the off season, but that doesn't mean we can't still enjoy it, laugh about it,
100%.
Get a little bit better. And also, new episodes of our television show are uploading each week right now to our YouTube channel. And I was told last week that a new season is going up on our Amazon channel as well. So there are still ways to enjoy watching it, even though we're not out there doing it. The weather is warming up a little bit, so I'm going to be able to get my dog back out there in the field. And training season never ends, my man.
No, it stopped a little bit when it was negative 30.
Right.
But yeah, it's soon. This is kind of the doldrums here, but we're coming out of it.
Yep, absolutely. Once again, thank you to Onyx for helping us to make this show possible. Be sure to download the Onyx Hunt app for your next hunting adventure to find out why it's one of the most valuable hunting tools available today. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of the Flush Podcast. I'll be back next week with another, I don't know where we're going to be talking or where we're going to be, but it'll be about bird hunting, and it'll be interesting, I hope, and hopefully will make us better hunters. We'll catch you then.